What does it take to elevate your game? In the Mamba Mentality, Kobe Bryant reveals insights into how he built his stellar basketball career. Bryant rocketed to the pros when he was a 17-year-old draftee, then became the youngest person to play in an NBA game at just 18 years and 72 days old. In February 1998, just over 2 years after being drafted, Bryant became the youngest All-Star in NBA history. Bryant remained one of the most formidable players in the National Basketball Association, or NBA, for his entire 20-year career, becoming known as the Black Mamba for his killer presence on the court. Not many basketball players make it to the pros as teenagers. Fewer still are recognized as stars for 2 whole decades. Because he achieved both of these remarkable feats, Bryant became a basketball legend. Becoming a living legend isn't easy. It takes focus, determination, and sacrifice. Focus means never losing sight of the goal of being the best in the game. It also means paying attention to the details of play and the surrounding game environment. Determination is the core of the Mamba Mentality. It refers to the willpower required to dominate the competition, no matter what it takes. This domination would not be possible without making the necessary sacrifices. Hours of practice, intense physical and mental training, and a commitment to the game are what make a great player into a legend. Legendary players don't get to where they are all on their own. They are leaders who know how to inspire their teammates and whose leadership becomes a sought-after commodity in the league. Mentorship and careful study of the game give a player the necessary mental and psychological complement to physical training. Observation is also key to the Mamba Mentality. The greatest players are the ones most willing to learn from the giants of the game, whether those are long-retired players of the past or rising stars on opposing teams. By watching game footage of themselves and others, and by studying new techniques, players acquire the knowledge and skills that make them fearsome on the court. Key insights. 1. Greatness takes hard work. 2. Improvement requires attention to detail. 3. Self-improvement requires training the mind as well as the body. 4. Routines and techniques can change, but the approach to greatness remains the same. 5. There's a game within the game. 6. A great player knows how to create the tension that helps teammates push themselves to succeed. 7. A great player keeps an eye out for new weaknesses. 8. Craft is just as important as physical prowess. Analysis. Key Insight 1. Greatness takes hard work. Being a great athlete requires being in great physical shape. From the day he got to the NBA at just 17 years old, Kobe Bryant was relentless in his pursuit of excellence by maintaining his body in peak physical condition. He started lifting weights for 90 minutes 4 times a week, on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. These weren't ordinary lifting sessions. They were intense workouts focused on specific muscle groups, and Bryant worked his muscles to the point of physical exhaustion. Cardio workouts centered around sprints and recovery helped to ensure that Bryant was fast as well as strong. Bryant's so-called midnight workouts became legendary among his teammates and across the NBA. He discovered that if he started his day with a 2-hour training workout beginning at 5 a.m., he could rest for 4 hours before his main workout from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m., pause for another 4 hours, and then be rested enough for a third workout from 6 to 8 p.m. He may not have been working out exactly at midnight, but Bryant's pre-dawn workouts helped him rise above the competition. But Bryant always knew that hard work in basketball wasn't limited to physical training. He understood basketball as a complex and evolving game that required lifelong study. His attention to his teammates and opponents' playing styles was what enabled him to fully leverage his physical prowess on the court. Key Insight 2. Improvement requires attention to detail. From a young age, Kobe Bryant watched as much basketball game footage as he possibly could. He thought it was fun. But enjoyment wasn't his primary motive for watching game films. Rather, it was his desire to observe, learn, and practice new techniques for his game. When reviewing game films, Bryant always asked himself not just which plays were successful, but why they were effective. Sometimes it wasn't the specific moves he saw that led to success or failure. It was what wasn't there. Close and detailed observation over the course of many years made Bryant an expert interpreter of the game. Success and failure on the court often boiled down to minute actions that only a pro observer like Bryant could notice. Armed with this knowledge, Bryant was able to refine his own method of play, always remaining at the top of the league. Key Insight 3. Self-improvement requires training the mind as well as the body. Long hours of dedicated daily practice are only part of what makes a legendary player. Training to be a great athlete also requires mental practice and stimulation. For Kobe Bryant, this mental stimulation wasn't limited to studying hours of game footage in isolation. Bryant also cultivated relationships with some of the greatest players in the history of basketball, such as Magic Johnson, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and Bill Russell. He asked them questions and used his curiosity to probe their knowledge of the game. Having mentors is more than about having someone to count on for a pep talk. It's about acquiring greater insight into the game. Mental training also means listening to your body. Muscle memory can be trained, and mentally visualizing what to do in specific scenarios allows muscle memory to take over and execute a move or play the same way it's been practiced hundreds of times in training drills. Listening to the body and building muscle memory makes excellence look elegant and almost effortless. Athletes with practice listening to their body also know when it's time to ice a joint or soak in a warm bath. Pain can cause imbalance in movements, so it needs to be addressed with contrast therapy, stretching, and gentle rotations. Meditating after a practice and before a game is an important method for listening to the body. Mental preparation for a game requires practice getting into the right headspace. A player's game day mindset is like a character, and like anything else, practice makes it easier to block out distractions and get into character. Before each game, Bryant didn't listen to music the way many of his teammates did, as a way of getting into the headspace for a game. He observed and focused on the sights and sounds around him. Similarly, during the playing of the national anthem before each game, he took in the sounds and feeling of energy in the arena to prepare himself for the game. Bryant didn't care if his intense game day focus made anyone else feel left out. Greatness requires focus, and focus requires sacrifices that not everyone will understand. Conditioning the mind to accept sacrifices enables a player to show up and do whatever needs to be done, whether it's a grueling 5 a.m. workout or a pre-game meditation. Key Insight 4. Routines and techniques can change, but the approach to greatness remains the same. Aging is one reason that routines change. Stretching, pain management, and listening to the body all become more important as the body ages. Players who enhance these aspects of their routine as they age will be less likely to meet a premature end to their career. Injury is another reason that routines change. A sprain can require additional time in physical therapy, as well as new stretching or mobility exercises. A sprained ankle requires even greater focus on the court to ensure that bodily motions will not worsen the sprain. Learning new or constrained techniques can protect an injury and help it heal. The approach to greatness, however, remains the same. A great player's approach is always guided by the desire to be the best player possible. Like his younger teammate LeBron James, Kobe Bryant maintained what he called a killer mentality. That is, at practice and at game time, he was motivated by his desire to kill or dominate the opposition. This is the Mamba Mentality, so called because of the deadliness of the black mamba snake. Although his routines changed in response to aging, injuries, and the composition of the Lakers roster, the Mamba Mentality remained consistent. Key Insight 5. There's a game within the game. Games that look one way on TV and to spectators in the arena can look and feel completely different on the court. For that reason, studying game film can only teach a player so much. Star players know how to watch the game within the game. They observe and learn how opponents are blocking plays or preventing a score, and alter their offense or defense based on this knowledge. Charles Barkley, for example, was an expert on the game within the game. He knew how to hold other players without being seen doing so. Likewise, Michael Jordan would grab other players by the jersey. Referees are imperfect, and they have a hard job. They simply can't see everything. Knowing how much holding you can get away with on the court is part of the game within the game. It's something a player learns by experience, observation, and trial and error. Observing other players' strengths and appreciating them is what separates mere physical prowess and technical skill from true mastery of the game. Key Insight 6. A great player knows how to create the tension that helps teammates push themselves to succeed. A star player isn't enough to carry a team. Even when a team can count on a pair of star players the way the Lakers could when Kobe Bryant and Shaquille O'Neal were on the same lineup, it still isn't enough to guarantee a win. Having star players can even inhibit other teammates who feel like there's a baseline of excellence and points they can always fall back on. Great players know how to balance their own performance against their teammates' need for inspiration and motivation. Creating tension on the court can push teammates to try harder and carry the whole team to a more successful performance. It's this leadership ability, rather than the number of raw points a player scores, that makes star players so valuable to a franchise. Key Insight 7. A great player keeps an eye out for new weaknesses. It takes hard work to learn and build skills. It also takes serious effort to maintain them, and this effort can change with time. After the end of his first season in the NBA, Kobe Bryant shot 4 air balls in a semifinals game against Utah. It was a learning experience that exposed a weakness. Bryant realized he just wasn't as strong as he needed to be. So, he changed his workout regimen to include more strength training, and the next season he came back stronger and better prepared to last all the way through a tough game. Weak players understand when their strength or technique is unbalanced. For example, a weak player favors one hand or one foot, while stronger players ensure that their strength and technique are equally balanced on both sides of the body. Without this balance, players become more predictable and less versatile, as well as more prone to injury. Key Insight 8. Craft is just as important as physical prowess. Strength and speed are important, but not all plays reduce down to physical superiority. Great players must always hone their craft and be on the alert for new styles and techniques to learn from teammates and opponents. Footwork, boxing out, and screening are all part of the craft of basketball. In the professional league, certain plays and strategies are standard and well known, but each player's individual craft is unique. By observing opponents and their specialized techniques, players can prepare themselves to scramble the opposition's playbook by breaking through favored defenses and putting a stop to preferred offensive tactics. A diversified repertoire of plays and moves makes a player less predictable. In weaker players, the cadence and rhythm of a play is foreseeable to opponents. A strong player creates a game with no holes and constant variation. By being unpredictable and adopting a holistic and balanced approach to strategy and technique, players can take the court with the confidence that they'll dominate the game. Important people. Kobe Bryant, 1978 to 2020, was a star basketball player. He played for the Los Angeles Lakers during his entire 20-year career, lasting from 1996 to 2016. Shaquille O'Neal is a former NBA star who played for the Lakers from 1996 to 2004. Phil Jackson coached the LA Lakers from 1999 to 2004 and again from 2005 to 2011. Author's style. Kobe Bryant's memoir, The Mamba Mentality, is written in an exceptionally casual style that allows Bryant's voice to come alive off the page. The prose is not meant to be sophisticated, it's meant to be relatable. This aligns with Bryant's belief that it's always best to be authentic. When speaking of his teammates, mentors, and the majority of his opponents in the NBA, Bryant affects a generous and admiring tone. In a minority of cases, he dismisses a would-be rival with a surprising and otherwise uncharacteristic touch of arrogance. Rather than rely on conventional chapters, the text is divided into two large sections, respectively called Process and Craft. Within these two sections, the text is divided into dozens of subsections, each of which contain advice from Bryant's career, or a short narrative about a coach, trainer, teammate, or opponent. In the Craft section, Bryant introduces many other NBA players he encountered over the course of his 20-year career. Among them are Allen Iverson, Kevin Garnett, Dennis Rodman, Michael Jordan, Vince Carter, LeBron James, Kevin Durant, Tim Duncan, and Lamar Odom. The dozens of star players Bryant mentions indicates the deep experience he gained over the course of his long career. Bryant describes his experience playing with or against these players, as well as what he learned from their playing styles. A photo of one of Bryant's on-court encounters with these players accompanies each subsection in which one of them is introduced and described. These photos also allow Bryant to comment on what he learned about his own game technique from studying these photos. The Mamba Mentality contains dozens of other color photographs interspersed throughout the text. Some show Bryant with coaches and trainers, as well as in private settings, such as in the training room where he underwent contrast therapy. Other photographs document his friendships or appearances with many of the NBA's most legendary players. The two main segments of the book are supplemented with a facts and figures appendix that offers data on just how extraordinary Bryant's career in basketball really was. Bryant was the NBA's third all-time highest point scorer, behind Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Karl Malone. As of the book's publication, Bryant held the second-place record for most points scored in a single game, with a tally of 81. This is the most points scored in a single game since 1979, when the three-point line was introduced to the NBA. Author's perspective. Kobe Bryant was called one of the greatest players of all time by Phil Jackson, his former coach at the Los Angeles Lakers. When the two first met in 1999 at the Beverly Hills Hilton, Bryant was just a 20-year-old player for the Lakers. Even at this early point, Jackson recognized that Bryant had already become a master of the game through his meticulous study and observation, as well as his dedication to training. During the years he was Bryant's coach, Jackson attests that Bryant was often the first to arrive at the gym, having completed his pre-practice workout before anyone else arrived. This was one of the reasons why Bryant was considered an inspiration to his teammates. Bryant was also known for his leadership. A two-time Olympic gold medalist in basketball, in the 2008 and 2012 games, Bryant was known as a leader on Team USA, as well as on his squad during NBA All-Star games. Bryant fulfilled Make-A-Wish Foundation requests after nearly every Lakers home game, as well as many road games. For his leadership and charitable endeavors, as well as for his playing prowess, he is remembered as one of basketball's greatest all-time stars.